Welcome back to Indigo Smokes Tarot and Astrology. This is another astrology interpretation series. I'm doing Venus signs. Of course, I take this with a grain of salt because there's so many other things in your chart that can affect these interpretations. So just take what resonates, leave the rest. So I'm gonna try and go in order. So the first one is Venus and Aries. I know a lot of people personally and celebrity wise that have this placement. So getting into what is Venus. Venus is not just love and money, but it's definitely love and money is a significant a part of what Venus represents. Venus also represents for men's charts, for men's charts, those interested in women, etc., or those of a feminine energy. Venus represents for men the type of woman that they like, their ideal, what charms them, what seduces them, what reels them in. For women, it's how you charm, I feel like for both men and women, because this is attraction factor and receptivity, I feel like Venus it's what you attract, but it's also what you're attracted to and how you attract things to you. It's what you value, your values, your self-worth, your self-expression, your creativity, if that's something that you're into, your values, love affairs, what you're receptive to, once again, what you spend your money on, your relationship with money, how you view money, how you spend it, how you save it, how you give gifts, your love style, your love nature, your love language. It rules women. It rules your aesthetic, your style, your taste, how you like to spend your leisure time, what gives you pleasure, what entertains you, type of music you're interested in, art, your version of luxury, your type. Let me see what else. How to best attract abundance and receive. What else? It's how you would magnetize and draw things to you, blessings, business. What else? I wrote another page for what it is. Love, relationships, desire, the value that you place on objects, possessions, and I think that's about it. Alright, so I wouldn't say that Venus is sex. I feel like that's more like Mars and like 8th house Pluto energy, but I would say that Venus is what builds up to the sex part. So the talking, the dating, the flirting, the initial attraction, once again, it's what seduces you, it's what charms you, it's your sweet spot. And yeah, that's pretty much what Venus is. So getting into Aries is a fire sign. It's the first sign of the zodiac. It's the baby of the zodiac. Represents spring, impulse. It's cardinal fire, so it's all about initiation. Once again, being leader, being first. And this is a cool little intro. So Venus in Aries. I would say Venus in Aries needs excitement. Venus in Aries is going to just like jump in head first. They're going to go with their instincts when it comes to what they're attracted to. They need their freedom. They need their independence. They need for things to be exciting. They need that stimulation. They need that rush that you get when you first are attracted to someone, or when you're in the initial stages of a relationship or dating, when it's exciting. That's what Aries likes. It likes to chase, to be chased. Oh, that's annoying. it's definitely like impulsive, passionate, alpha kind of energy. It's fun loving, it's very childlike. Sometimes the Venus and Aries individual can kind of be very me oriented, not necessarily or always in an obnoxious way. It's more like in a childlike way, because there's a sense of self-discovery that is associated with Aries and the freedom to do so. I would say Venus and Aries is like a daredevil. It likes risk, chance, challenge. It's a very straightforward, direct, bluntly honest, typically no games type of energy with Venus and Aries individuals. They have a certain childlike or innocent charm to them. There's typically no facades, no pretenses. They don't really they like play fights, but they don't like, messy or emotional like mind games. In that particular aspect, like maybe a water sign could do, or what a Scorpio could do. Venus and Aries is too straightforward. It doesn't want to have to think about any of that. So not typically into like games in that regard. Let me see. Needs excitement, freedom, independence. It wants to be self-sufficient, wants to be in charge. Typically can be a bossy energy, male or female. What else? I already said self-oriented, enjoying the chase, the game of it all. Very action-oriented. Could be very competitive. That could be like a dynamic in their relationships where it's a playful competition. Very physically oriented, high libidos. I would say Venus and Aries would be the ones who would enjoy like quickies or random sex in random places, like the adventure of it. Play fighting or teasing as a form of like flirting or foreplay even. Love, hate, sex I would associate with those who have Venus and Aries, Aries dominant energy. Venus and Aries is typically like, it's a very playful energy. I would say it doesn't really like things that are too gushy or heavy. It's like, it's the energy that kind of wants to, it doesn't want to slow down. So anything that's too emotional or heavy or serious is gonna kind of shy away from it. Although I would say the Venus and Aries would be the type to marry young impulsively, kind of like just on like puppy love type thing, or Bonnie and Clyde type of energy, or like, I don't want to say Romeo and Juliet, they're more mushy, but that puppy love where you just, no one can tell you anything, you're in the moment, it's blissful, it's all instinctual in the moment. That's very Venus in Aries type of energy, as far as like how they approach relationships, maybe the type of relationship dynamics that they end up in at some point in their life. I would say Venus and Aries would kind of be the type to like love or lust, given the situation, but love or lust at first eye fuck. I feel like that's a very Aries or Venus and Aries type of energy. This is alpha energy, mind you, Mars is associated with war and blood and masculinity, so that can kind of translate as someone who they like the sexual tension of it. They need a certain amount of friction in order to keep things fresh or exciting, because Venus and Aries can definitely get bored very easily in relationships, especially once again if they feel too stuffy, too serious, that they can check out or lose interest very, very quickly. Venus and Aries, rebellious. I would definitely say rebellious. Some of them can be quite selfish or just self-absorbed, whether it comes off in a very charming or innocent way or an obnoxious way. It just depends on other things in the chart. The mental sparring, like I said, they may flirt in a way that's like they are teasing or it's a play fight, they like that. That's how you know they like you. So Venus and Aries would be the type to roast you, and it would be an indicator that they like you, they want to pursue you, or they want you to pursue them, or something along those lines. Like, that's how Venus and Aries would flirt with people or bring attention to themselves. Maybe pranking, cracking a lot of jokes, being funny, showing off their competitive nature, making everything a competition. Venus and Aries, they are attracted to people who are strong and passionate and confident and independent with interest of their own. They're not really interested in clingy people or pushovers or people who are weak. They want someone who can keep up with them physically, intellectually, sexually. They need for things to be exciting or they're not going to be around for long. They don't want to be in any kind of relationship that's going to, typically limit their independence or their freedom. They still want to have their own life. They can be lone wolves at times, so they want someone who shares some of those characteristics or qualities. I would say once Venus in Aries is invested, they can definitely be very demanding of wanting to be first, wanting to be priority, wanting attention. They can be very competitive with their partner, about their partner. They can be very territorial, very possessive. Once they're, like I said, they're fully invested. Mind you, it's about what's mine in a lot of instances. Or once they mark their territory. Once again, this is Martian energy. Let me see. Venus in Aries is typically very confident, very self-assured. For the men, I'll get into that in a second. I want to make sure I mention everything that I wrote down here. Can be very demanding for the time and attention of other people that they hold really close, especially relationships. They admire strength, independence, alpha types, and they could, at some point in their life fall for the bad boy or the bad girl type. Like, once again, someone that keeps them on their toes, keeps them stimulated, where there's a sense of adventure, where there's a sense of passion and risk that gets their juices flowing, literally, figuratively, all that. I think I said everything here. Alright, I do have a lot of notes, so I'm trying to pace myself. Alright, I already said there, no facades, are very straightforward, blunt, self-assured, confident, rebellious, autonomous, high libido. The Venus and Aries person can definitely fall under the bad boy or the bad girl type, very lusty individuals, high appetite, a lot of energy. They need someone who can match their energy in all aspects. I would say the values of a Venus in Aries would be independence, excitement, passion, and freedom. That's kind of like what I narrowed it down to. There's a certain rawness or a certain authenticity that I've noticed a lot of Venus and Aries have. It's kind of like what you see is what you get, and they're also attracted to that in other people. I would say they're strong about loyalty. Once again, once they're invested, they're very big on loyalty. I already said they can be selfish. They can definitely be unapologetic or unafraid to place themselves first or as top priority. I already said that. They're very loyal and protective over their loved ones. Like, definitely not afraid of fighting. Like, for even though this is Venus, like if there's enough, especially if there's enough Aries energy in the chart, they can be quick to pop off. Like I said, they like the stimulation, the activity of it. They're not afraid of typically, showing off their strength or showing off their edge, or what they're good at or what they're willing to defend. Like I said, they can have an energy of like marking their territory in that way. I would say typically Venus and Aries, they have a lot of self-respect and they're very sure of themselves. They get bored by dull people and boring routine, or routine in and of itself. They do not like to be told what to do. They do not like to be bossed around. They typically do like to be in control. They're very physical people, what would I call your love language? I don't know if I wrote that down. I'm gonna think about it. But I would say Venus and Aries, they like to keep busy. They like to try new things. Back to that, they like a sense of adventure. Even though they do like to be in control and they can be bossy, I've noticed that typically Venus and Aries people, they don't want to completely dominate their partner, because once they can fully dominate you, they kind of, there's no more chase there's no more battle, there's no more competition, there's no more mental sparring, there's no more talking shit. So they don't want to fully dominate their partner. They like the back and forth of it typically. They refuse to be controlled in most cases, unless there's other things in their chart, that contradict that or overpower it. They're typically shit talkers, so they're not for the faint of heart. They're not for the passive, the weak. You got to be able to go toe to toe and talk shit back, basically. I would say their form of affection would be teasing or picking on people. Just very childlike, kind of like playground stuff, where instead of a little boy saying that he likes you, he hits you. It's kind of like that. They typically like people who have a certain level of like, I don't give a fuck about them. Like, that demeanor is very attractive to them. They like rebellious people. I would say they're good BS detectors, once again, because they're not really into facades or anything like that. So if they sense any kind of any of that kind of energy, they're just gonna cut it off, and they can just see through it typically. Sometimes their fighting is flirting. I think I've said that enough times. Super playful. Some would say they may play too much. Said that. They don't really want to deal with anything that's vague or anyone that's too passive or evasive. They're not into that. They'll lose interest. I would say they're very daring most of the time. They like to show off how good they are at what they do. They can be very temperamental when they want to be. They can be very childish, very impatient, things that are just typically associated with Aries. They need a certain level of spontaneity and playfulness in their relationships. Otherwise, they can get very restless, very antsy. A lot of the times, Venus and Aries, they can be self-taught in a lot of things. Very quick to initiate in matters of love, heart, sex, all of that. They're typically not shy about it at all. I already said they can be demanding in love, of attention, time, sex, passion, all of that. And I would say they're typically enthusiastic, and they're so persistent that it can be hard to like resist them if they're in pursuit of you. Like, it's, oof. Yeah. I would say, as far as like money, their relationship with money, I would say they spend it as quickly as they get it. They can be impulsive buyers. Yeah. I would say their fashion expression, or their taste, their style, it could be very bold for like women, especially. I would say the men, there's probably just a certain edge or roughness that they would probably have to their aesthetic, like maybe a 5 o'clock shadow, or maybe they have a scar, maybe they wear a lot of denim or leather. That would be a very Aries aesthetic, both for men and women. But I would say with the women, their style, it can range from being, once again, tomboyish to overtly sexual. A few celebrities who have Venus in Aries are Rihanna, Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor, Ashley Judd, Audrey Hepburn, Queen Latifah, Rosie O'Donnell. That shows more of the tomboy aesthetic. What else? Who else has Venus in Aries? Shakira, Eva Longoria, Keira Knightley, Janet Jackson, Shirley Temple. So as you see, a lot of those people that I just named, they used their sexuality. It was a part of their charm. And then for others, Queen Latifah, as an example, she knows how to do both. So you can see her in super feminine roles, and then you can see her in super masculine roles, and she does both pretty well, I would say. So I would say Venus and Aries, they have that ability to go either way, the women more so. But both the men and the women can have like sort of a rough around the edges, or masculine, tomboyish look to them. All right, denim, leather, being super laid back, super chill. For the women, it can get very into like bold colors. I've noticed that a lot of Venus and Aries women, they look damn good in red, like for real. Let me see what else. Some Venus and Aries may choose to be single. They can choose to be bachelors or bachelorettes long term. They may have a fascination with weapons like knives, guns. Once again, sports, anything athletic. They could do that in their leisure time as well. So maybe going to the shooting range, or having a collection of knives or a collection of guns. Men and women, they could be interested in that. They could be gamer types, especially like the women. Once again, going back to that tomboy thing, they can definitely, when they want, be one of the guys. So I could totally see a Venus and Aries person being a gamer chick. Sports enthusiast. I think I already said they're impulsive. I think that's obvious at this point. I would say the men, when men have this placement, they're typically attracted to women who are confident, are assertive, feisty, free-spirited, self-sufficient, energetic. Maybe some who play a little bit hard to get. Once again, they like the chase. Women who aren't afraid to like go after what they want, who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. Let me see what else is here. They definitely want and respect women who have their own mind, who do their own thing, who have their own life, their own interest. Once again, it's people who they can't fully dominate. It keeps them on their toes. Let me see. Sometimes the men who have this placement, they could maybe want to be pursued by a woman, or have no problem letting a woman like take control. If not all the time, then some of the time that could be something that's very attractive to them. So a woman being on top, or a woman approaching them to get to know them, as opposed to waiting for them to, it could go either way. But a lot of the times, These men, they like the chase, and they like women who can give that chase without, kind of getting into jealousy games or mind games and things that get emotionally complicated and messy. As long as you don't get there, men who have Venus and Aries, they'll like the chase, and women who can provide that for them. So staying just out of reach is a wonderful way to reel in a man who probably has Venus and Aries. And yes, some of them don't mind being chased or for women to initiate things. What else? Women with Venus and Aries, they may approach sex or sexual expression in a very masculine way, or from a masculine perspective. Like, once again, very straightforward, no facades. They'll be the type to either show or say, this is what I want, and I want it right now. They would have no problem doing that. Venus and Aries women may have a certain understanding of what men want, once again, because they can resonate with some aspects of the masculine point of view. So that whole duality that they a lot of the times have between being a tomboy or being one of the boys and being overtly sexual is that they may have a certain insight into the psychology of men. A lot of Venus and Aries women may relate or have more relationships with men than women. I've noticed that other women can feel like intimidated or rubbed the wrong way by Venus and Aries, either because they are overtly sexual and they attract a lot of men, or because they are one of the guys. Either way, that can cause conflict with women, or women having misconceptions about women with Venus and Aries, or not liking them or shunning them, either because they're not feminine enough, or because they have a lot of close relationships with men, or they seem to get men, or they attract a lot of men because they know how to use their sexuality. That can cause friction with other women, I've noticed. Let me see. Sometimes Venus and Aries women can feel a little bit out of place, once again, because they may resonate a little bit more or connect more easily with men over women. So it can kind of feel like they're kind of torn between two worlds, where sometimes maybe they're not feminine enough for the women and not masculine enough for the guys, so they don't really know where they fit in between those. Sometimes, especially when they're younger and they're growing up, that can definitely be a theme sometimes with this placement. So a lot of times Venus and Aries women are going to have to either prove themselves to be one of the guys, I hate even saying that, and downplaying their femininity, or taking on a more masculine demeanor to be able to be in the boys club, or they would have to strategically use their sexuality and their feminine wiles if they wanted to, maybe, for lack of a better word, infiltrate or integrate with certain maybe masculine dominated industries. Just an example of how this could play out, because Venus and Aries women may be attracted to doing a lot of the things that men do, or typically according to traditional society and gender roles and jobs and etc. They could be attracted to working in male dominated industries. So they may have to figure out their approach, and if they're going to play down their sexuality or use it strategically. I seen a little joke about this placement that I don't know if it was a joke, but I thought it was funny, that Venus and Aries women would be the tomboy, the feminist, and the porn star all in one. I thought that was funny, and I thought it was fitting because it made me think of Rihanna and Marilyn Monroe and Elizabeth Taylor. So I feel like it fits a little bit. If you would want to win over this placement, you would have to be very assertive, very forward, very fun, and very flirtatious, and not dull or boring or super traditional. Let me see what else. Some Venus and Aries, because they are so impulsive and persistent, they can come off to others as being coming on too strong, and it can be intimidating to some people. Sometimes they can come on very strongly and then lose interest suddenly. Maybe because they got distracted, maybe because they got bored, maybe they didn't lose interest and it just seems that way. A lot of people can have that issue. when dealing with a Venus and Aries person. They can be very impatient in their pursuit of what they want or who they want. And just on average, this isn't for everybody, obviously. I would say Venus and Aries, they're more likely to just to break up before they cheat. Obviously that's not a cut and dry thing, but dominant Aries energy, they typically aren't really for the games. They're, once again, very straightforward. So I would say if any placement was inclined to just break up rather than cheat, I feel like Aries dominant Venus and Aries individuals may be the ones to do that, of course depending on other things in the chart. Venus and Aries, I already said they dislike emotional or vindictive games in love and dating. You're better off just being direct with them. Don't be passive aggressive. They don't want to have to figure that out. And yes, I said that. So a part of their values as well would also be honesty and integrity. They may have their own code that they operate by. No fake shit, no disloyal shit. They would be the types to maybe get loyal tattooed on their arm or, some shit like that. A lot of times Venus and Aries people, they have their own code that they may operate by. May have no problem being like the lone wolf sometimes, and probably always ready to defend themselves, their loved ones. Aries fire, cardinal energy, it's just always ready for whatever. What else is here? Okay, I think I'm almost finished. Their dislikes would be self-pitying people, weak people, needy people, clingy people, people with no minds of their own, people too dull, people too boring, people too traditional, people too serious and stuffy. That would definitely be a dislike and a turn off of Venus and Aries. They would most likely feel bothered or smothered or irritated by the types of people that I just mentioned. I would say they're kind of allergic to self-pity and insecurity when it's in other people. They don't know how to deal with that, and they kind of try to avoid that within themselves a lot of times. These are the daredevils, the risk takers, the rebellious ones, the ones that just do shit impulsively. That's this placement. I already said that. Yeah, quick to run away from passive or clingy people or boring people. Yeah, I would say they can be very a very generous, exciting, enthusiastic friend. Never a dull moment. There's a lust for life this here. Mind you, this energy is associated with springtime, things blossoming, the excitement of that, the lighthearted energy of that. For women, your charm, how you seduce, how you attract, comes through via your passion, your independence, your entrepreneurial spirit, or your leadership qualities, your fieriness, your impulsiveness, your charisma, you living in the moment, you remaining true to yourself. This is a part of your charm. This is probably what draws people to you. And of course, you're attracted to these qualities in your counterparts. Obviously, Aries, the first sign, it's good at leading, good at initiating, good at inspiring other people. So that could be a way for you to capitalize on your skills and your talents, to be to draw people in that way. Also, Venus at Aries may have an issue being like super relationship oriented or minded. It's more of an I sign, a me sign, not necessarily a we sign. That's where Libra comes into play. Not to say that they're not relationship types, just that some people with Venus and Aries, especially if there's more fire in their chart or other Aries placements, they may have to mature into being sensitive or considerate of other people, just because they're so impulsive and they're quick to do things. They may not factor in other people's feelings, before they do or say certain things. Like I said, dealing with Venus and Aries is not for the faint of heart. You have to be solid. What else is here? Quick to jump in relationships, especially when you're young. Yeah, blah blah blah. I would say unapologetically sexual. Men and women. No shame about it. There's a natural wildness or edge that these people typically have. There's something about them that can't fully be tamed. And I feel like that's the gist of it. Yeah, it's more the same. They can be selfish in love. Once again, going back to them being very demanding of time, attention being first, being priority. That can be a thing for some of them, the less mature ones. They may see love as a battlefield where they have to fight for who they love, or they have to chase who they love, or for them, love is fiery, it's passionate, it's impulsive, it's risk, it's adventure together, it's a placement of being a lover and a fighter, liking a mixture of the two. What else? Leisure time, probably sports, going to sporting events, sex. Sex would be a hobby for Venus and Aries. Making money through their sexuality, through their athleticism, through their leadership, their entrepreneurship. I would say Venus and Aries, they have to work on a certain level of self-awareness. Once again, of just how they affect others, their words, their actions, taking things into consideration, going through a filtering process, thinking before they do things. That's something that they have to learn oftentimes. They have to learn tact, diplomacy, patience, empathy. What else? Venus and Aries people are very bold, very high-spirited, very energetic. They can be very charming, very confident. Once again, very unapologetic. There's no pretending. It can be refreshing. It can also be annoying for some people. I would say the shadow of Venus and Aries would be too impulsive, too impetuous, too hot-headed, too egotistical, too selfish. They can be too overbearing, territorial, jealous, insensitive, unapologetic. May talk about themselves a little bit too much. The fears of Venus and Aries, they would fear stagnation, restriction, boredom, and hate being told what to do. Did I forget anything? I don't think so. I think that is the gist of it. Let's talk about the men, the women, money, the shadow. A few people who have this. I think that's it, guys. And I hope this video wasn't as disoriented as it feels to be recording it, but I think I pretty much said everything as far as Venus and Aries, the men, the women, how you charm people, what you're attracted to in other people. The women with this placement, I typically, once again, they could be attracted to the bad boy type, the complicated dude, the one who's rough around the edges, the one who may be a little bit insensitive, the one who may be a little bit rough around the edges, the one who maybe has a 5 o'clock shadow, who has a certain aesthetic, maybe tattoos, men who are entrepreneurs, men who just do their own thing, who once again have a certain edge to them. They're exciting, there's a risk there, they're confident, they're strong. Maybe dating athletes, competitive men, athletic men, kind of barbaric men. So I would say that's the type. Someone with this placement would definitely or most likely be attracted to someone who is like Rihanna or Marilyn Monroe, or women who know how to hold their own with, men. So I am a little tired. I hope that isn't totally reflected in this recording. If it is, I'm honestly going to delete the video and just re-record it. But hopefully I don't have to do that and you enjoyed this video. I will see you sooner rather than later in my next video. I have 2 more to record. So thank you for watching. If you feel like I left anything out or got anything wrong, you can put that in the comments. Please like, share, subscribe, all of that great stuff. I appreciate any feedback. And once again, I will see you sooner rather than later in my next video. Thank you so much. I love you. I appreciate you, and bye.